With updates on free agents and more, this is Wrestling Hub. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Hub Official and follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. With Steve Fall of 10 Count, the Mountie spoke about not being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. As he said, "I honestly feel from the bottom of my heart, if it wasn't for that big fight we had and all that, the Rougeaus would be in the Hall of Fame because everybody else we worked with, that we worked months and years with, like the Hart Foundation, the Rockers, the Bulldogs, Tito Santana, and everything I accomplished as the Mountie is incredible. The jailhouse match, I could go on and on and on about all the things I've accomplished in 11 years. I think he's given me a receipt by not putting me in the Hall of Fame." When it comes to what is next for the LWO in WWE, PW Insider Elite noted that, as for why the LWO is being utilized the way they are currently, basically being manhandled, we are told that it's just part of building up Judgment Day for the Backlash pay-per-view in May, as a part of the storyline with Bad Bunny and Rey Mysterio. That said, in my opinion, they really need to get the Rhea Ripley versus Zelina Vega story kicking off if they want that match, which is scheduled for the pay-per-view to mean something worthwhile. Vega has been backstage at recent TVs and not even used to appear as a part of the group, which makes zero sense. Talking to Jerry Royf, SmackDown Women's Champion Rhea Ripley noted what she would have done if the Judgment Day wasn't around. "You know, Rhea Ripley only wants the best, and that's why I'm a part of the Judgment Day. If we weren't a thing, we weren't a faction, we weren't all together, I would probably be trying to get into the Bloodline. You know, maybe. Maybe it would have worked, maybe it would have not. I don't know." With WWE stars returning to streaming on platforms like Twitch, this was said by Fightful regarding the cut the company takes from talent. We're told the WWE split of the new Twitch deal is very low, in the single figures. Explaining why he did not end up having a match at WrestleMania this year, Stone Cold Steve Austin told Sports Illustrated, "I haven't spoken to this, but I'll give you the story. I met with some people from WWE. We talked about the possibility of me wrestling at WrestleMania 39. The biggest thing in my mind was the presentation and what kind of match it was going to be. Going back to 38, the way the KO thing was presented, I love KO. I turned that down 3, 4, 5 times until the creative finally came to what it ended up being. I didn't want it constructed as a real match per se. I needed something that could turn into one, and it did. But I think that's why we got away with it. The Dallas crowd was very receptive. I hadn't been around, so the timing was right. But to do a proper match, I'd have to be in off-the-charts shape. I told them, and this is the exact truth. I said, guys, I'm just fixing to go into production on this show, Stone Cold Takes on America, and until we start production, I don't know what my life looks like. I can't commit." Sure enough, there were technical issues before we finished. I was supposed to finish a month before we did. There's no way, with the schedule I was doing, driving an RV all over God's creation, doing all I was doing, that I would be ready. I had 2 30-pound dumbbells, a 45-pound sandbag, and a 25-pound kettlebell. Working 15 hours a day, then getting in a 30 or 40-minute workout, that doesn't get you ready for WrestleMania. I was really protected at WrestleMania 38. This time, that wasn't going to be the case. That was a true statement. Until this show was over, I couldn't commit. Talking about Jay White's debut match on AEW Dynamite, Dave Meltzer pointed out on Wrestling Observer Radio, "I will say that Jay White, in like 2 spots, saved what would have been botches that Kommander would have made, but he saved them, so they didn't end up being botches. Jay White is great. I thought that the key to the match was Kommander kind of does, you know, the big thing is the rope walk. He does it over and over again because it's cool and it's his thing. Jay White would only let him do the real big rope walk spot once, so it meant more. So he kind of paced it much better. I thought Jay White did a great job with him. Kommander looked great not winning, got some near falls." Speaking of Kommander, this was said by Meltzer about his status with AEW. Kommander signed, which was another big one because obviously WWE wanted him, and he is a guy with a lot of moves that are crowd pleasing. Touching on the merger between WWE and UFC, John Morrison said this about WWE on the MMA Hour. I think there's a hiring freeze right now. I think they're going to end up letting a bunch of guys go. I think salaries are going to get cut. I'm really glad AEW is around to balance that out a little bit, because if they weren't, there would be no leverage and nowhere else to go, and WWE and UFC would be this weird monopoly that just wrings the money out of the livelihood of the fighters and wrestlers, and I always think that sucks. During that same interview, Morrison said this about a potential WWE comeback. I hate that place, but sure, if they called me, I'd go back. Why do I hate it? Because it's your dream. It's what I've watched as a kid, and then you show up and you want to live your dream and do the things that you've dreamed of doing, but it's a bastardized version of what you want to do. That was my experience. It's not for everybody. I kind of exaggerated the hate thing to make a little joke, but sure, I'd go back. I tried not to burn any bridges. I love the roster there. I love a lot of the people there. I love the roster of AEW. Tony I like a lot. Vince I actually like a lot too. I like all the minds in professional wrestling. The place that I go next, I really want to have a good, honest talk with whoever's in charge. Whether it's Vince, Tony, the number one in charge of WWE, UFC, the merger, or Nick Khan, or whoever that might be, and find out exactly what they have planned for me, and hopefully they're honest. If I don't like that, I'll probably not go, and if I do, I will. That's more important than the money for me right now. Giving an update on Bobby Roode, who hasn't wrestled for WWE since June, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful said, "For those asking about Bobby Roode, he's been sidelined for a year, but didn't get his fusion until late last year. He's still expected to be out quite some time." It seems that WWE has an idea for a show for children, with WrestleVotes reporting that I'm hearing there is a new joint show in the works between WWE and USA Network where kids will compete with superstars in a trivia challenge, currently titled WWE Tall vs. Small. After posting on social media that she planned to move to Japan full-time amidst contract negotiations with NJPW, Mercedes Mone posted this on Twitter last night. "I woke up still crying, shocked and so happy. I need to get yesterday's date tattooed on my body." Many responded writing, "Whatever it is, we are so proud of you. We are so proud of you, and I love you so much, Mercedes. You deserve the best. Don't know what's happening, but you deserve all the good things. Whatever it is, I'm so proud of you. You deserve nothing less than to be happy. Go take over the world, legend. Aw, I don't even know the T, but I'm so happy and excited for you. Love you." With AEW looking to re-sign a former world champion, it was said that Fightful Select has learned that Adam Hangman Page and AEW were in the process of working towards a potential new contract. Hangman Page was not only one of the original signings, but one of the people involved with announcing the formation of the company on January 1st, 2019, though he wasn't given executive vice president status. Negotiations started fairly recently, and there doesn't seem to be much of a timetable on when that could get done. Hangman Page has the same rep as Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, as the Elite have been in the process of negotiations regarding extending their deals of late. With reports that he is now a free agent, Richard Holiday took to Twitter to write, "I can confirm. I would like to thank Court Bauer and the entire team and locker room at MLW. A tremendous experience for me lasting nearly 5 years. My first match there was a dark match, and my last was a main event. Thankful for everything in between." Talking to Dark Puroresu Flosion, former New Japan star Kota Ibushi said this about making the move to AEW. Recently, Kenny and I have been talking about things other than games. For example, are your knees okay? Is your shoulder okay? Also, I hope to be in contact with Tony Khan soon. For his vlog, Ibushi recently recalled making his in-ring return at GCW Bloodsport, saying, "Honestly, was that really my return match? The first day felt like a sparring match in a wrestling dojo. A shoot-style match, you could say. That's how it felt like. The fans enjoyed themselves, but I didn't have that sensation on my end. That's why the first day didn't feel like my return. It only hit me when I went backstage. Oh, I'm finally back. But there is also a match tomorrow. I know it will come tomorrow, so I'll prepare for tomorrow and turn my mental switch. I felt overjoyed after my second match. This one really felt like I made my return. A wrestling match with a proper 3 count. Those kinds of cheers. The cheers when something is reversed, or the cheers when you kick out at 1. This is pro wrestling. I felt like I was doing pro wrestling. That sensation I felt that I finally returned to pro wrestling only set in on the second day. That was it. I did wrestling. In a sense, I'm active on the forefront again. I could still perform, and stamina wasn't an issue. I didn't feel like I was going to lose either. Sure, I felt like I had some lost time, but nothing bad happened, nor any mistakes." With Ted DeBiase Jr. pleading guilty to a count of conspiracy to defraud the U.S., police issued this statement. The Department of Justice sent out the following press release. For immediate release, Thursday, April 20th, 2023, former professional wrestler charged with theft of millions of dollars in federal funds intended for needy families. A federal indictment was unsealed today in Mississippi, charging a former professional wrestler with misappropriating millions of dollars in federal safety net funds intended for needy families and low-income individuals in Mississippi. According to court documents, Theodore Marvin DeBiase Jr., 40, of Madison, along with co-conspirators John Davis, Christy Webb, Nancy New, and others are allegedly to have fraudulently obtained federal funds, including from the Emergency Food Assistance Program and the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families Program, that they misappropriated for their own personal use and benefit. Davis was the executive director of the Mississippi Department of Human Services. As a part of the alleged scheme, after federal funds were issued to MDHS, Davis directed MDHS to subgrant the funds to 2 nonprofit organizations, Family Resource Center of North Mississippi, Inc., and Mississippi Community Education Center, which were operated by Webb and New, respectively. Davis then allegedly directed Webb and New to award sham contracts to various individuals and entities purportedly for the delivery of social services, including at least 5 sham contracts that were awarded to DeBiase's companies Priceless Ventures LLC and Family Orientum LLC. As further alleged in the indictment, under the sham contracts, FRC and MCEC provided millions of dollars in federal funds from MDHS to DeBiase and his companies for social services that DeBiase did not provide and did not intend to provide. DeBiase allegedly used these federal funds to buy a vehicle and a boat, and for the down payment on the purchase of a house, among other expenditures. DeBiase is charged with 1 count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud and to commit theft concerning programs receiving federal funds, 6 counts of wire fraud, 2 counts of theft concerning programs receiving federal funds, and 4 counts of money laundering. If convicted, he faces a maximum penalty of 5 years in prison for the conspiracy count, a maximum penalty of 20 years in prison for each wire fraud count, and a maximum penalty of 10 years in prison for each count of theft concerning programs receiving federal funds and for each count of money laundering. Assistant Attorney General Kenneth A. Plight Jr. of the Justice Department's Criminal Division, U.S. Attorney Darren J. Lamarca for the Southern District of Mississippi, Special Agent in charge Jermicha Fomby of the FBI Jackson Field Office, Special Agent in charge Tamala Miles of the Department of Health and Human Services Office of the Inspector General, Special Agent in charge Dax Robertson of the Department of Agriculture Office of Inspector General, and Special Agent in charge James E. Dorsey of the IRS Criminal Investigations, Atlanta Field Office made the announcement. The FBI, HHS OIG, USDA OIG, and IRSCI are investigating the case. Trial Attorney Adrian E. Rosen of the Criminal Division's Money Laundering and Asset Recovery Section, Trial Attorney Dallas Antilles of the Criminal Division's Fraud Section, and Assistant U.S. Attorneys Dave Fulcher and John Maynardy for the Southern District of Mississippi are prosecuting the case. And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all later.